Let's start with a piece of news that has the Zelda community buzzing. For the first time ever, Shigeru Miyamoto's name is absent from the credits of a mainline Zelda game. That's Echoes of Wisdom, in case you missed it.
Oh, wow, yeah. Now, we all know Miyamoto has been taking a step back from development for a while now, right? But even when he wasn't directly involved, you could always feel his influence. Like, he's such a creative force. And and this time, he's not alone either. Takashi Tezuka, another Zelda veteran, is also absent from the Echoes of Wisdom credits.
Yeah. And just for those keeping track at home, he's only ever missed the credits on two other Zelda games, Zelda 2 Second and Tears of the Kingdom.
Exactly.
So it really makes you wonder, is this just a changing of the guard?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we going to see like a radical departure for the franchise?
Well, it's important to remember that every Zelda game has its own identity, even with Miyamoto and Tezuka at the helm, right? But their absence, it does seem to coincide with this kind of new era of Zelda that we've been in, starting with Breath of the Wild and now continuing with Tears of the Kingdom and Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah, that's a good point. Both of those games were praised for their fresh takes on the formula,
Hmm.
but they've also been met with some, divided opinions, maybe without Miyamoto and Tezuka there kind of guiding things. The newer generation of developers, they feel a little more freedom to experiment.
It's definitely possible. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, think about Majora's Mask. I mean, that game was a huge departure from Ocarina of Time back in the day, and it's now considered one of the most unique and beloved entries in the series.
That's true. That's true. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But on that note of experimentation and change, let's shift gears to a piece of news that's sparked quite a bit of controversy. And it all revolves around Star Citizen, a game that's been in development for, well, quite some time now.
Over a decade in pre-release, to be exact.
Oh, is that right?
And despite that, they are mandating crunch time for their developers. We're talking 7-day work weeks leading up to CitizenCon, their big annual event, all to finalize a patch and get a demo for Squadron 42 ready.
And just for those who might not be familiar, Squadron 42 is Star Citizen's standalone single-player campaign, which has also been in development for a long, long time.
Right, right. And it's this whole situation that has people talking, and rightfully so, I think. I mean, crunch culture is a serious issue in the games industry, and this just seems to highlight how deep-rooted the problem is.
Yeah, it's like there's always this tension in game development, right? Like you've got the ambition to create something incredible, the pressure to meet deadlines and satisfy fans, and then the human cost of it all. It's a tough one.
Absolutely. And in the case of Star Citizen, which is already, let's face it, notorious for its ambitious scope and, delays, it
Well,
feels even more, well, problematic.
it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. But on a lighter note, let's talk about a game that's actually coming out very soon, the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater remake. Remember all those awesome Easter eggs in the original?
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't a true Metal Gear Solid experience without, finding a hidden surprise or two, or 10.
Exactly. Well, good news. Everyone, Konami has confirmed that most of the original Easter eggs will be making a comeback in the remake.
Now, that's what I call fan service, though they did mention that some will be harder to find. They want players to sort of rediscover the world with fresh eyes, which I think is a great approach.
Yeah, I totally agree. It adds a layer of challenge and intrigue, especially for those who think they know the game inside and out. Speaking of knowing a game inside and out, let's talk about Diablo 4. It's been getting a lot of praise, but some players have raised concerns about those in-game warning pop-ups. The ones that are constantly reminding you about things you already know.
Yes, the bane of any seasoned Diablo player. Like, we get it. The Butcher is a tough enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in a surprising turn of events, Blizzard is actually listening. The next update will include a much-requested feature, the ability to mute those repetitive warnings.
That's actually huge EE. I mean, it might seem like a small thing, but it just shows that Blizzard is actually paying attention to player feedback, even when it comes to the smaller details. It really does. It shows they're listening and they care about the player experience, which is great to see. I mean, after all, a game's user interface, it can really make or break the whole experience, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a cluttered UI can be so distracting, it just yanks you right out of the immersion.
For sure. It's all about finding that balance. Like, how do you provide helpful information, without insulting the player's intelligence or their experience? And speaking of respecting a fan base, let's talk about Good Smile Company's latest offering for collectors, the Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda Figma.
Ooh, big news for Zelda fans who also, appreciate a high-quality collectible.
Right. This joins Link and Ganondorf. It's completing the chord trio from Tears of the Kingdom. And I got to say, the details on this Zelda Figma are incredible.
Yeah, they really outdid themselves with this one. The sculpting, the paintwork, even the accessories, like they all just perfectly capture Zelda's look, the feel from the game.
Hmm.
You can tell a lot of care and attention went into this figure.
Yeah, and it's not even just about looks. I mean, Good Smile Company is known for their articulation. So you know collectors are going to have a blast posing this Zelda Figma in all sorts of, dynamic stances.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And speaking of dynamic, did you see the release date?
What is it coming out?
August 2025.
Oh, wow. A little bit of a wait.
Yeah,
But hey, good things come to those who wait.
that's right.
And while we're on the topic of waiting, fans of Lorien Studios, the masterminds behind Divinity, Original Sin, and the critically acclaimed Baldur's Gate 3, might need to exercise some patience.
Yeah, CEO Sven Vinke, he recently hinted that we shouldn't expect their next game until at least 2028, maybe even 2029.
Wow, that's a long way off.
It is.
But honestly,
Ah,
if anyone can get away with making us wait that long, it's got to be Lorien. They have earned a ton of trust, I think, with their commitment to quality.
absolutely. Yeah, they've said it time and time again, we release when it's ready. And I think that philosophy really resonates with gamers who are tired of rushed, buggy releases.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes the best things in gaming are worth waiting for. But for those who are looking for something awesome to play right now, let's shift gears to Space Marine 2.
Ah, yes. The ultra-violent love letter to Warhammer 40K fans. What's the latest?
Well, for those playing on PC, specifically those with some serious horsepower under the hood, get ready for a visual treat. They're releasing a free 4K texture pack DLC.
Whoa, really? That's fantastic news. Space Marine 2 already looks incredible as it is.
I know.
But with 4K textures, those environments, those character models, next level.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah,
It's a testament to the developer's commitment to, delivering the best possible experience, even after the game is already launched.
for sure.
And speaking of post-launch commitment or maybe lack thereof, let's talk about the day before. Remember that whole saga?
Yeah. How could we forget? It was a masterclass in how not to handle a game launch.
Right, the delays, the controversies, trademark disputes, I mean, you name it, the day before had it.
Yeah.
And the developers, well, let's just say they didn't exactly cover themselves in glory with their communication.
No, not at all. And it's a
Well.
shame because the game itself, it did have a lot of potential.
It really did.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the latest development. The studio, formerly known as Fntastic, has rebranded as, wait for it, Fntastic 2.0.
Seriously, they went with that.
I know, right?
Wow.
It's a bold move, to say the least. But that's not all. They are also working on a new game called Escape Factory. And they're going all in on, transparency this time around. They even launched a Kickstarter campaign. They're hoping to, win back some trust from the gaming community.
Wow. They really are going for it. I mean, it takes some serious guts to come back after a debacle like the day before and be like, hey, give us a second chance. Do you think they can pull it off?
Honestly. It's a long shot. They burned a lot of bridges with the whole the day
Yeah.
before thing.
Yeah,
But, then again, everyone loves a good comeback story.
that's true.
Maybe, just maybe, they've learned from their mistakes,
Mhm.
and Escape Factory will be the game that redeems them.
Yeah. Only time will tell. But this whole situation, it does make you think about, the power dynamics at play in the gaming industry, right? Like, on the one hand, you've got studios like Lorien, these guys who take their time, they deliver these incredible experiences, they build trust, they build loyalty along the way. And on the other hand, you've got studios like, Fntastic, who seem to, I don't know, prioritize hype and ambition, even at the expense of, transparency and, in some cases, their own reputation.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, for sure. And it's something that I think we as gamers, we should be mindful of,
Yeah.
as we navigate this ever-evolving landscape of digital entertainment. It's funny, after a deep dive like this, I always sort of step back and think about, all the different things we talked about.
Yeah.
This week, it's like we ran the gamut of emotions,
Mhm.
right? From the excitement of, these iconic developers stepping back and what that means for those franchises,
Yeah.
to disappointment, with those less than ideal developer decisions. But throughout it all, one thing is clear. People are really passionate about gaming.
It's true. It's true. And that passion, that connection, right, between the creators and the players, that's what makes this industry so unique.
Absolutely.